So Troy actually is the one who got me to switch to the blue juice from the green juice. Why is the blue juice preferable to the green juice?
The thing about green juice is those vegetables are highly perishable, so they need to be, when they're juiced, they can oxidize quickly. So within 15 minutes, you want to drink a fresh squeezed juice. Otherwise, you're paying for dead enzymes. So you might as well just pay for a fresh green juice juiced right in front of your face. Or, of course, the liquid sunshine I turned Chad onto, which is all got the enzymes intact. You just add water to it. And then nut milks or fruit juices have a little bit more shelf life because of the citric acid in the fruit juice. And then nut milks are, as long as they're in glass, it can stay, up to 72 hours and still be fresh.
Cool.
And then you didn't bring the hotbay today. Last time we had Troy on, he brought an Amazonian tobacco root drug that is blown up the nose through a ceremonial wood tube, and you got to do both nostrils to hit both hemispheres of the brain. And we only were on our recording for 5 minutes while doing it, but it jacked us up. I vomited, but I had a lot of breakthroughs, so it's definitely a full experience.
We have a pretty epic photo of us on that couch. We're both shirtless. And you're just smiling like that.
Yeah, we had to get shirtless. We should probably get shirtless for today's episode. I feel like that would be fitting. Yeah, and Troy's shredded, so it would be a good eye candy.
Yeah,
you did a great job, though. And that was right after my partner with the Man Tribe, Alex. He worked in the Amazon for a long time. He gave me the hotbay, and I was like, "What's he fucking giving me this stuff for?" And then I started using it, and I've used plant medicine over the years, and I really like tobacco, and so I started using it almost daily. And I'm a cowboy, so I was using decent sized piles. And when you guys said okay, I was like, all right, okay. And I gave you guys a decent sized pile, like a real decent sized pile.
Oh right, it felt that way. Good.
Yeah.
I'm glad it was. Yeah, I thought I was just a lightweight when it came to hotbay.
Yeah, well, and you handled it like a champ, and plus all that energy about your grandma dying at the same time. It was just wild. And then we talked for an hour afterwards and helped you walk you through some stuff. I mean, it's not child's play. It's powerful medicine.
Do you like playing that role of like kind of guru to people who are going through kind of unique experiences like that? I mean, it seems to be your calling, right?
Well, I'm happy to do that. I don't call myself a shaman. I don't call myself a guru. I'm here to help the world get healthy, plain and simple. All knowledge is knowledge of self. And I just help people guide themselves back to their own knowing. I say that we're all knowing self-healing mechanisms. And so when we take the time to go inside, whether it's with fasting or with plant medicine or meditation, we get all the answers. They're right inside of us. And how do I know? Because I had to go through my own, walks through hell, my own problems, my own, I was a party animal back in the day, call it alcoholism, whatever label you want to put on it. But, I had to clean up from that and went through a divorce recently, and I've had business ups and downs, and we're all in the same boat, and I think the more tools that we can have that are holistic, they're not just going to mask the symptoms like some kind of pharmaceutical drug.
What have you found to be sort of the most effective tools for like gaining knowledge of self, or just basically daily rituals or dealing with life, basically?
Yeah, well, I would say that Vipassana meditation was one of my big wake-up calls. So these are 10-day courses in silence. There's multiple centers all around the world. It was taught to, that's what the Buddha discovered. It's basically mindfulness, Vipassana meditation. And these centers are 10 days in silence, and you go through a technique, and it's extremely powerful. And then I used that as a daily practice for 6 years of my life, religiously for 2 hours a day. And
there's silence?
Silent meditation. And then I sat 11 courses, so 110 days in silence over the span of 6 years.
Whoa.
And that was fundamentally, it rewired my nervous system. You can see the crazy prison story on Joe Rogan. This guy got, put in prison. He was on death row. He wasn't meant to be there. He was abused and traumatized as a kid. And he learned meditation, and the scientists are like all over him. He sees the neuroplasticity. The guy basically rewired his mind using meditation. So meditation does work. That's definitely a handy tool. The ice baths are handy. Hape is handy, but nicotine's very addicting, so you really want to watch it.
Was it hard for you to stop doing the hape?
Actually, it wasn't. Tobacco is used to usher in your prayers, so it's a very powerful spirit. And so I just used it for praying while I was using it. I used it for clarity in my business, clarity with my family, peace in my heart. To connect me to God was my dominant prayer. And so when I got off of it, I was just like, all right, I've had enough, and I know this is addicting, and so let me just find peace in my heart, and let me just go off of it. And it wasn't a problem at all. My mind was made up, and so I was very clear on that, yeah.
I've implemented a lot of your techniques since we last met, namely breathwork. I did meditation before, but I started doing breathwork, and then the ice baths, two things I love, and it's been awesome. Like I've been surfing lately, so I haven't been doing as much. But like when I have free time in the morning, I like to do breathwork, like the 30 breaths in and out, and then some retention, and it really just sort of washes the anxiety away and puts you in sort of a just joyful state, I've found.
Yeah, and you guys are asking me, daily tools. Breathwork is great. Drop down, do 30, 60, 90 breaths with some retention, and yeah, the anxiety goes away.
Yeah.
And so I think it's a very handy tool. It's an emergency tool. It's what took me through my divorce. I was waking up at 4 a.m. with tons of anxiety. And one of my friends taught me breath work, and I just started doing it. It worked, so I just started doing it.
Yeah. Which, do you think there's a more effective tool, like method, like the Wim Hof, and then there's like box breathing and pranayama, or is it basically whatever suits you?
I think whatever works. I
Yeah.
like to teach my clients and students that you can't do it wrong.
Yeah.
And so really opening up the breathing apparatus, flooding your body with oxygen, doing some retention will help you breathe deeper, especially once you breathe all the way back in. And then I teach some basic Qigong exercises, the stork walk especially, because that reprograms the diaphragm.
What's the stork walk?
So basically you're walking and flying like a bird. So you bring your hands over your head, which opens up your rib cage and opens up your diaphragm, and then you exhale and you bring your arms down and you bring one knee up. And so that works on your stabilizers. So from the bottom of your feet, your metatarsals, all your nerve endings are at the bottom of your feet, and your survival mechanisms is what helps your head from not falling over and smashing open. So that goes up. All the neurology goes up into your adductors, your glutes, wraps around your spine to your quadratus laborum, all your big, strong muscles that hold up your spine. And so all that's attached, and it's attached to also your breathing. And so when you do the stork walk, it basically reprograms your breathing apparatus so that you have deep cellular respiration at rest, during stress, driving in the car, at normal. And so what I recommend doing it for, anywhere from 5 to 20 minutes a day. That's the baseline for reprogramming. And then when you do intense breath work, like breathing breath work, then your breathing apparatus is working more efficiently. And so I think doing all of them. And then box breathing is something that's more relaxing. And you shouldn't be doing breath work in the water or driving or anything like that. I did breath work when my ex-wife was driving me crazy one day, and I just started taking some deep breaths, and I did a inhale retention, and I started to black out. And I'm like, okay, fucking never do that again.
Yeah.
And so, but one day I was driving up to my friend's ranch for about 3 hours, and I got like a stress headache from sitting in the car, and I knew the breath work would help me. So instead of doing the intense breath work, I started doing box breathing. And I'm kind of an intense guy, so I do 10 breaths, then hold 10 breaths, then 10 breaths exhale, and then hold that, and then 10 breaths inhale. And so, and it was very effective. Headache went away, got very calm and very centered.
Yeah, it's cool. It's all about sort of like engaging the breathing apparatus, right? Because just because some people, they just constantly, they're doing shallow breaths kind of stuff, and that sort of builds up the anxiety. Is that correct?
Builds up the anxiety. You also produce your serotonin and dopamine. So also it translates into poor cellular respiration. And poor cellular respiration is directly related to premature aging. So the more you can get on point with your breathing, the more healthy you can be. I mean, it's basically the first level of nutrition, that and maybe sunlight, right?
Yeah.
In my opinion, my approach to it. So breath and sunlight, that's like the first form of nutrition. And there's breatharians out there that try and live, on sunlight and breath. So.
Oh yeah, how do they do that?
I don't know, man. I don't know how successful they are either, but
Yeah.
it is a thing. There's this one woman called Jamuna, I think that's her name,
Yeah.
and she does it. And I think there's another Indian guy that talks about it. You got to have your spiritual game on if you're going to just be pulling in energy from the cosmos and
Yeah.
and your breath.
Yeah.
So